Hello, everybody. Welcome to Into the Score. My name is Avishai Darash. I'm your host for this podcast. As always, you know how it's going. You know what it is. We're talking here with very interesting people, arts, culture, sometimes politics, and day-to-day entrepreneurship. I'm always mixing them up. So, I've been doing this intro quite a while now. But today I have in the studio with me someone who is actually very special to me also personally. I'm sharing my life with her, you can say. It is Madelon Timmers.
Hello.
How's it going?
No flirting.
No flirting, that's right. You have to keep it professional.
Yes.
So how's it going, babe?
It goes very well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Usually I just ask people to take me from the beginning of their story, and I'm actually really interested in hearing your story also here in the podcast.
Yeah.
So please take me from the beginning.
Yeah, I was thinking about it this morning already. It's like, where shall I start? Because I knew you would ask me this question. So I was like, okay, yeah, let's just start. I didn't really want to get out of my mom. That's first of all. I just realized it. I think it was the 4th of October that there was like due date, and I came 10 days after that. I was like, no, I don't want to come out. And then I came out, I pooped in the womb. They had to pull me out. It was horrible. And then I was here. So I...
Wow, it's really from the beginning, yes.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yes. And I was raised in Tilburg, in the south of Holland, in a family with I have one younger brother, mom and dad. School was behind the house because it was easy. It was a school where a lot of cultures would come, and they did that on purpose. I asked my parents later, like, why did you put me on that school? Because it wasn't the most easy school. It was a Catholic school.
It was a Catholic school?
It was a Catholic school.
But you also had Muslims in it, right?
Muslims, Turkish people,
Okay.
Suriname, Iran, Chinese. We had all kind of cultures coming there.
Right, okay. How did that work, actually, if you think about, because it had Catholic values, but then you had people that are coming from different religions also?
Catholic school. It was close. It was the one school that was close to Jerusalem, which was a neighborhood that was on the other side of the street, of the bridge. And that was considered one of the most multicultural neighborhoods in Tilburg. So a lot of these kids would come to that school. But yeah, as Brabant back in the days was very Catholic orientated piece of Holland. So it was part of the school system by then, is that you would get these Christian values. But I remember we would get like papers. I had to learn, I think it was like 10, 20 papers filled with all kind of things about religion. And we all had to learn that. I didn't get anything about Islam or any other, like Buddhist. I didn't get any of that. It was just
Catholic. But also the Muslim kids that were coming
they
from
all had to learn that because it was part of that school system.
Were the parents were not objecting to that, or you don't know? Or
I never heard any of that. I think it was back then a lot more... I sound really old saying this. But, I think back then it was much more of like a hierarchy with teachers. So it was like you would just not ask that many questions. And I know later that a lot of cultures, they have also much more respect for teachers. So they would not ask these questions, or they would not question the school system in general, because they were just happy that their kids could even go to school. But yeah, so that was a bit of my background. And it was, I come from a family where a lot of teachers, and also pretty religious, to be honest. My aunt was one of the first pastors in Holland.
Female pastors.
Female pastors in a very male-dominated religious background area. So I was always very, inspired with learning new things. They would show me, a lot with nature. For example, we would go out a lot, and I would learn about the plants. I would learn. I was always obsessed with stories from a young age. My aunt would tell me these stories from the Bible, which were horrendous. I think it was one of the stories with the Temple of David. And I just remember I would ask for these stories because I just found them so intriguing, and they were able to tell it also in a way that would be very entertaining, you know.
No.
So yeah, that's a bit of my background. And then I was the only girl raised with only boys, so that's also maybe something interesting to say. So I was the only girl. I only had nephews, and then the generation of my mom was only girls, and then my dad was the only boy. So we have kind of like all girls, one boy, all boys, one girl kind
Interesting transference. Yeah.
I know, right?
Yeah, it's really
so I was one of the girls, which was challenging.
What was challenging about it?
Yeah, I was playing a lot by myself. I was very girly girl, playing with the Barbies a lot, making up stories. A bit like in my own tower, like living there. I would play with my nephews, but wouldn't be like
A tomboy.
I would no. I would just give me the Barbies and let me play my own stories and write. And I would be drawing all the time. My aunt was a great drawer. Drawer? Do I say that?
Drawer, yeah.
Drawer.
Illustrator.
And my grandpa was an artist. He worked with wood, but also painted.
Also, you worked for the Efteling.
Worked for the Efteling, collaborated with Anton Pieck, who drew a lot of the visuals for the fairy tale stories in the Efteling. So yeah, that would be my inspiration. And I never met my grandpa, but I always felt super connected to him. Mm-hmm. And because I was always drawing and I was always busy with, just in my own world creating, that I would get... my aunts would give me his material. So I remember I had this book. It was like leather bound, super pretty with all his sketches. I don't know where it is right now anymore. I lost it. But I would copy them. I would just hours just have these sketchbooks and just copy. Because he had these amazing, beautiful drawings of like copying the female body, the body, but also horses. I remember he could draw, and he would draw it, and then he would create it. So he would have these. I would have these wooden sculptures, and then I would see the design in in that book that I got.
Yeah.
So there was always a connection between like the visual and like reality, and I think that inspired me a lot. And then the stories really inspired my language. So it was always, I remember the moment I started reading that there would be just a whole world opening for me where, like I would read anything. Like I remember
you're still reading a lot. I see it at home.
Yeah, and I feel like I don't read that much now at all. Like compared to what I was reading back then. And I was always very interested in like I always had this interest for horror or thriller or like fear-based stories. I don't know why, but I would also, my mom would tell me that when I would play with Barbies, I would like to hang them on stuff, and like there was this torture museum in I think in Den Haag it was, and I was so intrigued by it. So there's always been there also been like a background fascination, excitement there in that.
And take me like, because I mean I know your story a little bit, you know. And what was the role of the piano in hockey and basically your upbringing as a teenager?
Yeah, I was 7 when I started with hockey, and my parents had this vision of school and then having a creative outlet, and then having a physical outlet. And for me, that worked really well because I was really able to study quickly in school. I was a good student, would get straight A's, they say in America, but in Holland it would be like a 9/10. But they also saw that I was very physical. I was always like playing ball sports, and so they were like, okay, let's support her in that. And my parents had a piano in the house, and I remember back in the days that they would give. I would go to this introduction class where they show you all the instruments, and I remember the teaching saying, sitting behind the piano, when you learn to play the piano, it's easy to learn all the other instruments. And I have this innate thing of I want to be successful, I want to be the best in everything. It was from a small age already. That I was like, that's my instrument. So I started when I was 7 with piano, and I started with hockey. And I was interested in basketball also a lot. I did all kind of sports. I was outside. When I wasn't inside creating stuff, I was outside playing basketball or football or hockey, not that much. But later, I would go have training days, go to the field. And that worked really well for me. I think that kept me sane also, to be busy with reality. Because when you would ask me when I was young, like, what do you want to become? You know, I wanted to become a mermaid. And no, but like for real, I wanted to become a mermaid. Like every wishing well, I would throw myself on my knees. I would ask for money. I would throw in money in these wells, and I would pray, please let me become
to wake up as a fish.
Half fish. Half fish. It was, that was afterwards. I was thinking, like, what is it that I was, and I realized, like, I didn't really get humanity. Like, I really, at a young age, I was always creating because I would see things around me, and things just wouldn't make any sense to me. Like, I could get extremely sad when I would see things about war on the television.
And you end up with an Israeli. Nice.
Well, I had to learn a lot. Let's say it like that. Yeah, and I was really, I think I was raised very protective in that sense. And at the same time, just having such passion for doing things with my hands and being busy with my body. And
would you say protective or sheltered?
I think protective. My dad was very protective against me, like towards me. I was the only girl, you know, and then you grow up in the world, and you things happen to you, and you deal with it. And I feel again, like for me, when I was 10, I had a sexual trauma, and it really, I feel like it switched for me. The whole being busy with me creating, it switched completely. Of course, you have your teenage years, but it made such an impact that I kind of got disconnected from that creative juice that I was always feeling, and this very free physical feeling that I would have. And I was really traumatized by that, and that came out much later. And a lot of the choices after that, also unconsciously, I think were made to break free from that again.
Yeah. You want to tell me more about it?
Yeah, I was...
we don't have to go into details of who did it.
No, I played...
what.
I stayed playing hockey and piano until I was, I think, piano I had from my 7 until 18. No, to show the change, it was much more going into interpersonal relationships. Like I realized, like what... how I could manipulate also much more with my body and with attention, and to get what I wanted with using these, like, my body and a certain way of communicating. And I feel like I was much more interested into guys at that point. Like something changed, but also opened in a way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that after the sexual assault that you had, that this is what catalyzed it, you mean? Basically,
Yeah.
that's what...
Well,
Okay.
it was rape. I found out later.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when something external is coming into the body. I realized that honestly last year, which is crazy to think about, like how uneducated I was, and I feel I'm not the only one in that, and how much of that violence drips into all areas in life, because we're being created as humans in this area, in the womb area. So if there's a trauma there, it's instant connected to your creativity and your creative juice. That's what I know now.
Wow.
But back then I was much more like focused on, okay, how can I belong? And then how can I be the best in hockey? How can I be the best in piano? And it really became like much more of a shelter. Yeah.
A compensation.
Yeah, absolutely. It was much more of like a cry, not a cry for help, but much more to show that I was doing good. While from the inside, I was just keeping a secret. I was feeling very alone.
Did you feel isolated in all that sense? Did you feel any shame also and guilt?
Yeah, of course. That's, yeah, because you don't understand what it means when it happens, and especially when you get told like to tell no one, because it was nice, right?
The perpetrator told you that.
Yeah, and then you lock it in your subconscious, and it fucks you up. It fucks you up because there's this guilt of like being connected to your body and the physical. Because I was a very physical, and still I'm very connected to my body, and I was, since a young age, I was always interested in what can I do with my body. I'm very sexual also, and that having something like that happen, it does something to your your self-worth.
Of course, absolutely.
I'm feeling so stuck. I remember that.
Absolutely.
It took a long time. I was 21 when I did a Vipassana in... No, that's not true. That was after that.
But you had the burnout at 21.
Yeah, let me remember that. That was... I went to Vipassana. I went to Thailand. I was kicked out of school. And on the UvA, I was doing a training and development master.
You never told me that.
I didn't tell you that?
Out?
I was kicked out, yeah.
What do you mean kicked out? And under which circumstances?
Well, I studied psychology. Let's first start with that. Because I was like, okay, I don't get humans. And I had this belief, like, if I understand my mind, I can make choices out of freedom. Not really understanding that it also was connected to that, my trauma. And then there was a lot of change because I broke up with my ex-boyfriend. I moved to a different city. I started a new study. I started studying in Amsterdam, and I came from Nijmegen. Now, that's a huge difference. Amsterdam was always the big city, and I was like, whoa, I really felt like a baby there again. And I just couldn't get my focus to my study. It was all too much. The change just was too much. And then I remember they told me, like, we just don't see you doing this training and development master, because I was educated or trained in becoming a trainer. So, for example, communication skills, interview techniques, skills that psychologists need to do their work, but also train other professions in communication. I really liked it, but I couldn't. So they had this conversation, and they told me, like, we don't see you here. We don't think this fits. We think something like event management would fit you better.
Event management.
Yeah. I was like, how?
Wow.
That was so interesting.
And but tell me, because I wanted to ask you about the burnout that you had, like this, what led to that?
Yeah, so all that changed. So I had to stop my study. And you have to imagine that when you are so young and you are compensating for such a long time and you want to be like from the outside, you want to show the world, I'm doing good, you know? Like, you do that by becoming the best in everything. The moment someone tells you, yeah, sorry, you're not part of this anymore, it feels like such a failure. And I was so connecting my identity to my hockey, to my piano playing, to my study, that the moment that all stopped, because I also stopped playing piano, I stopped playing hockey, the study stopped, there was nothing for me to identify with anymore. Because, I mean, yeah, I could try, but that wasn't that anymore because I wasn't doing it anymore.
Because then you needed to start looking inside because all these shells were like falling.
And then I did the Vipassana because that summer I went to Thailand and then I sat for 10 days, not allowed to look anyone in the eye for 10 days, walking meditation, working meditation, yoga, having all these Buddhistic information coming in. It was life-changing for me, and I came back to Holland, and I couldn't, I couldn't tell people what I experienced. What I experienced, first of all, meditating was considered very weird, especially coming from Brabant. Everyone was like, weirdo. So that I was dealing with, and then my brain just stopped because I came back and I wanted to study because I realized okay. And I was also motivated by others, doe maar gewoon, just end your study, you know. Then you have the paper, just end your study. So I subscribed back in Nijmegen to a social psychology master. And I couldn't read anymore.
Wow.
I remember the first week I was there, I just couldn't read. The words I couldn't make sense. And I don't know if it was a burnout. I think it was or TIA, or I don't know. I also couldn't sleep anymore.
Sounds a bit like a small psychosis
It was,
episode.
yes, that was absolutely also part of it.
Yeah.
I would see stuff that weren't there.
Yeah,
it was
like
it was very specific. So I always say it's a burnout,
but then you had the flip, right?
Yeah, I was very against the medicine thing. I was very against antidepressiva and all of that. So, because, I don't know, I have a natural tendency to go natural, I guess. And I believe that there are other ways to get myself back on track. First of all, to get myself back in sleeping, because not sleeping does something to your brain in a way that it makes everything just worse. And it's it's such a big part of the animal brain that we have. It's a basic need. If that's if you don't get what you need in that, it affects all the other functions. So I needed to first get myself back on sleeping. So I went to a psychologist. It was like the house psychologist that treated my dad 5 years before that. And I did natural homeopathic. It was quantum healing. So I would get these electronic things around my arms and my head. It was so funny. They would scan, and it was a machine where they could get they could see the energy flows in your body where it's stuck, and then they could make the treatment based on the information that would get out of the testing. And that eventually helped me to sleep again, to get my hormone system out. Another thing that also, and this is something people don't really understand, especially, I think men, I'm sorry. But I stopped using the pill at that time also. And
I'm completely against that
putting
shit,
hormones in your body, putting something, and it doesn't matter if it's the pill, it's the UVA ring, if the spiraal, the copper. It doesn't matter. The moment you interfere with nature, it does something to your system. So I took all of that out. So my body needed to recalibrate again, and it took yeah, so that was also playing on the background, and all that changed.
Wow. It's very condensed. It sounds very condensed.
It was such a dense time. And then during the talks with my psychologist, the trauma came up. And then it was like, okay.
You know, I've been with you for 8 years, and it's like the first time I'm hearing it like this, and I'm like, it's hitting me, you know? I'm sorry, babe. You have to go through this.
You know, it's part of my story. It's and I'm also very grateful for, you know, the help that I got, the choices that I made, the people that were there, you know, like, yeah, I feel all these dark times that we have as humans, it showed me much more to become me more, because, yeah, you can hide behind all these veils that we can project to the outer world, you know, but in the end of the day, it's about, for me at least, to feel that I can be me. You know, for me, being autonomous is one of my goals in this life, for this my journey. So it's not, it was a big journey, and then I eventually, like, that's being able to sleep again. What really helped me and sparked me was to start making music again. And I started to write in that time a lot, ask myself a lot of questions about where do I come from, like what positive things do I get from my dad, what positive things do I get from my mom. Just writing. I would write all the time. And then I started writing songs again. And that really sparked something in me, like the connection between having all these things that I was experiencing, being able to express that again. Yeah, it was
in a metaphorical way, right? Because the songs, they have metaphors in them.
Yeah, you use sound, so sound helps to get the emotion out, and being able to give words to what I was feeling was also very healing, I can say.
Yeah.
And I didn't do any of, I think I took sleeping pills to start sleep, but I didn't like it because it made me just more tired. So I stopped with that pretty quickly. And then I didn't want to do the antidepressiva.
Thank God not. Wow, that is like horrible.
But because I did the whole natural, like taking these natural pills, what did help was my first ecstasy pill.
Yes.
I had to say that, and that's interesting.
There we go. Yes.
But I have. This is interesting because ecstasy has been created for couples therapy.
True.
And I was reading a bit about it, and I was still at that point like coming out of this very depressed.
MDMA, ecstasy is different.
I took an ecstasy pill. So. And it was on a festival for the first time, and I was still having these like depressive thoughts and like not really knowing what to do with myself. And I remember I took that, and it, in the end of the day, I remember I was sitting there on that festival, and it was like all the thoughts that in my subconscious were still there, they would all come up. It was like this flood of like just negativity, which is just gone through me. Wow. And I went to bed.
Were you also thinking about the rape and everything that happened?
No, not necessarily that, but it was more like more thoughts. No, not really, to be honest. But it was more, more thoughts, like negative thoughts. I don't remember what, but it was a lot. And then I went to bed, and I woke up, and it was silent. It was like, and that, like biologically looking at what that drug does, it's the serotonin gets released in the brain, and that creates that feeling of like, love. That it's considered the love drug. So I was able to love myself again. Yeah. And it was like this serotonin, this bag of where the serotonin is created in the brain. It was for me, it felt like it was a blockage there, and the serotonin got released again, and I've never been depressed after that.
I think it's important to say that in the disclaimer that this is not a medical advice to anyone that is listening to it.
No.
Because we don't take any responsibility if you decide to do it because of this podcast.
No,
Yes.
I think it's also important to say, and later, like in the antidepressiva, there is the same.
SSRIs.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is the same. The thing, and that's what the problem I have with the use of it. The way it's been presented, it creates dependency.
Absolutely.
And that's what I was so against with. I'm not against drugs or medicines, but it's a way to get to something. And the moment it's being presented that it's the solution, or you should take it for the rest of your life because you have this and this and this, I'm out. I don't believe that. I think we human beings are much more powerful than that
Yes.
story. So, yeah, healed myself.
With
There.
an ecstasy pill.
No. What a promotion.
What a promotion.
No, but it was a long journey, and I think it took me another 10 years to get the trauma out of my body, because I worked first mental, and then I went to the body, and now I would say work with the body immediately.
Yeah. Yeah.
If people experience these kind of traumas, work with the body first.
And tell me about the knuffeldier that you wrote. Knuffeldier.
Yeah.
It's,
I wrote a children's book. It's called Knuffeldier. And it was written from the need of physical contact. The story is about a knuffel. Yeah, how do you say knuffeldier? Teddy bear.
Teddy bear, like
A teddy bear, yeah.
like the
And
one
what
that you
do
go to
teddy
bed
bears
with
do?
as a kid, you know.
Yeah. Teddy bears, they are here to cuddle. So it's about a teddy bear that wants to cuddle, but and he asks, or it's non-binary. Can be whatever. It's a multidisciplinary book. It's good to say it. And the teddy bear asks for cuddles, but doesn't get it. So the book is about learning to give yourself what it is that you need in order you can give others what you're basically asking for.
So it's like emotional autonomy in that sense.
Yeah, you could say it like that. Yeah.
Nice. I mean, I read this book many times and listened to the song that was written. And we're going to put it also, it's available to be ordered from you, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to put it, of course,
I still
in the
have,
description.
I think I have 10 books
10
from the
books.
first edition.
First edition. Look at that.
Yes. So
Yes.
that people can order it personally, because I like personal contact. I like to send it personally.
Yeah, because that's the thing also that, like you had music, you had hockey, you know, you had all these things, and then eventually you're going into writing now as your medium. What is the thing that catalyzed that?
Well, I always liked stories, as I said, and I liked writing. I actually wrote my first stories when I was young already, and I let my aunts then read it, but I never took it to like really moving it towards making a book. And I was 26 when I traveled with my band, with a band through Europe and make music.
Yeah.
So I started to become much more back to the whole entrepreneurship. We didn't even talk about that, I think.
Hey, listen, whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, I think I love to write since a young age, I think. And it just got back again when I got back into myself, basically, like unplugging all these layers that I have been building. For me, writing has been a way to understand what would be going in my mind. And then later, when all these things would come out, I would just get ideas. I would see, for example, now I'm writing a children's book, and I really literally see the book.
Yeah.
So it's a new way of writing, I have to say.
But wait, just I don't want to, because you had a point there, because I do want to talk about 16 Sparrows when you were traveling Europe, about that experience. Because we're kind of jumping, it's also on me, because it was like, okay, knuffeldier.
Yeah.
But tell me about 16 Sparrows in that sense.
I got myself back up after the party, let's say it like that.
To the party.
And then I still had this conviction, like this belief, like, and people around me would also say, like, yeah, finish your master, you know, you did all the work, and just then you have the paper, you can do whatever you want, stuff like that.
You can tell people I have a master's.
Yeah, exactly. So I did eventually aan de VU, I did a master arbeid en organisatie psychology. So it's organizational psychology. That was the only master I could actually apply to still. So I did it. And it went really, like, I flew through that master because I got back to myself again, you know, like I really got life experience. I knew who I was, and I finished my studying about transformational leadership after burnout. Mm-hmm. Like what kind of leadership helps people to get back on track, and transformational leadership is the most powerful kind of leadership that gets people.
What does that mean?
It's leadership that where you really listen. You really listen to the person, but you're also much more sensitive to the needs that people have.
Transformational leadership.
Transformational leadership.
Why the word transformational in that sense? How is that connected to these traits?
It's interesting because now I kind of feel like it's much more feminine way of leadership, and in psychology they call it transformational leadership. You have directive leadership, which is very power-based. It's like, I tell you what to do, you have to do it. That's a directive kind of style. Then you have laissez-faire. That's more gedoogbeleid. Like, oh yeah, komt wel goed.
Yeah, it's gonna be fine.
Yeah, just not that, like the opposite. Like very little control.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have in the middle is transformational leadership. And it's based on the fact that we are human beings. We're very creative. We human beings in essence, we're creative species. And we're constantly evolving, constantly basically transforming into something. But when you have life experiences like a burnout or life throws you, stuff happens, you come to sit at home, you have to reinvent yourself, you're going through a transformational process.
Wow.
So transformational leadership is needed also to guide people to go through that process. And now we are living in times that, this kind of leadership is so needed. And it says it has to do with empathy, with listening, with checking in with someone without telling them what to do or putting any timeline on it, like letting them giving them the space to figure things out, and at the same time let them know that you're there. It's very important.
It's interesting you say that, because I experienced at home directive leadership. Very much from my dad and also my mom, I have to say, because of the chain of command that they were used to from the army. Or like, I mean, my mom wasn't in the army, but my dad, of course, he was like in the army, but my mom was just, she experienced different things from a very young age that made her that type. However, I realized that kind of like on a natural basis, and also I came in contact with people that later on were my bosses, let's say like this, that had like this laissez-faire and directive, just weak bullshit leadership. You know who I'm talking about. And it's like, and what happened is that almost like I was like pigeonholed into transformational leadership, because this is the evolution of all these things. Because directive leadership, I mean, unless you're in the army, like in organization, it just creates fear.
I don't think it's evolved. It's always been there. It's called. This brings me back also to the fact that there have been societies where women have been much more in leadership functions, running the money, running the game, basically, much more visionary. And it's called in psychology it's called transformational leadership, but like now, 15 years later, I realized like a lot of women have these qualities inherent. Like a lot of women, they're very good listeners, they care, and that's what I feel this society, this world needs at this point in time, much more women that should take leadership positions. And I like psychology in that sense that, men also have female sides in themselves. So if you step into transformational leadership as a man, you're being invited to grow these qualities, these female sides inside of yourself, to be able to listen, to empathize, to hold space for people, to guide them in a way that they feel seen. It's I feel like this world can have a lot more of that. And it's not only women. Women have that a lot in them.
Yeah, I'm not sure it has to do with like gender, to be honest, or like, let's say, biological thing. I'm not sure. I think it has to do with life experience also, and also with kind of like understanding, at least for me, what doesn't work. Like, because I think directive experience, like directive leadership, of course, again, it's just my opinion, but it's just that it's kind of like an old way of just running things.
Yeah.
You do this, I have the power over you. You do A, B, and if it doesn't work, we replace you.
Yeah.
In transformational, at least from, of course, I'm using your term here and I'm learning it here. It's more, what are your qualities? What can you do for the organism that we're building together? And how can we like cherish that and make that and develop that further, instead of like pushing people beyond the edge, corporate, like this is what needs to happen. We need to have these quotas. And
it's very much more people focused.
Yeah.
And much more, there's much more space for the needs that people have. And then I'm not talking about, I need, really basic needs. Basic needs, like we all want to be seen, we all want to be heard, we all want to belong, we all want to feel that we are seen for the person that we are, autonomy. And we all want to have support. That are the 4 basic needs that we have. And transformational leadership that is aware of that.
Yeah.
That makes it also that people recover from burnout much quicker when there's a leader that sees you in your totality and with what you need at that point in time.
Yeah. It's funny because I remember I was a part of a production where the director, she got a burnout. There was talks in there was talks in the organization. Like it was a co-production between 2 organizations, and they were just like, okay, we need to replace her, the show must go on. And it just put her under more stress, and the production just suffered completely from it. It doesn't like, it just brought it. But it's very interesting that you say that, because if we actually were a little bit more empathetic within the organization, I think the production would have went better, instead of just looking to constantly undermine the decisions and looking for, oh, you see, now it's the burnout coming out. Oh, she cannot function. Oh, she cannot this.
You're not helped by that.
No, you're not helped. No. There wasn't a supportive environment. No, it wasn't. No.
Yeah, and it's not bad or wrong. I think just a lot of people, they never trained these skills, or they don't know how to really be there for one another. It's something that I also needed to learn. I wasn't able to be there for myself. How would I be able to be there for someone else?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think knuffeldier.
Going back to knuffeldier, yes.
Was really created because for me, like it has been. I had a physical need as a child. I was very physical, but I couldn't really get that. From that need was not fulfilled. And then later, when you grow older, you learn that there are a lot of ways that you can fulfill these needs for yourself in a healthy way. And I feel that's a journey that we all are on. Like that's the transformations that we as human beings are being invited into this life to learn to love yourself and really unconditionally, be able to hold yourself in a way that there is no expectation anymore. The expectation stops that other people are responsible for filling these needs from within.
Well, I mean, we broke these cycles. I grew up also in a very warm house in that sense. Like, my mother was not physical with me ever. And my dad also was like, the hugs are like, like a buddy or something. But we broke it, with our kids. We're very warm, we're very cuddly and very warm. So the like you said, generational transference has stopped,
Yeah.
Because, I mean, my dad suffered the same, that his dad suffered the same, my mom suffered the same, and her parents suffered the same, but we broke it.
Yeah.
We can give it to our kids, and that's a big step.
Yay!
Yeah, Alan is very sweet, and Ben David also.
Yeah, and for me, like being able to create has really helped me. And being an entrepreneur, because I was an entrepreneur when I was young already, I would not only draw, I would also create a lot of stuff, and then I would sell it in front of the Jumbo on my kleedje. Little.
You had also a lemonade stand, no, or something like that. Were you selling lemonade also, or just
lemonade? Not, but appelflappen, like a Dutch pastry, and then I would sell it in front of the Jumbo, and people would come out like, yeah, but they also have. This in the Jumbo, and then I would say, yeah, but mine are warm. And then they would buy it. So that entrepreneurship has been in me from a young age also. So being trained after that to like really mental and like falling down, having to undo myself from all these layers, getting to know myself again. Brought me back to entrepreneurship. So I finished that master, and then I was like, now I'm free. I don't have, I don't have to study anymore. And then I choose to play music.
And then you went with 16 Sparrows.
I went to LA. I lived there for 3 months. I was there before that, during my masters for a month, and I met 2 brothers, started making music. It was like, like I knew them for decades, and I decided to go back. So I finished my master on the transformational leadership, and I went back to LA. Then we made a record, and we all had this dream to travel through Europe. So they would come in May. They came, and we traveled until end of August through Europe, and that was such a free experience. It was actually like, for me, that was the gold, like the result of the choice where I started psychology with, like, this is why I studied psychology, to free my mind and to choose whatever I want. And then, of course, you're on the trip and you see stuff and you're like, is this really what I want? Okay. And then I had then a new chapter started.
Yeah.
But the whole entrepreneurship and the freedom for me has been a motivation to get back to entrepreneurship when I was 30. That's when we met, actually.
Yeah, we met when
I decided to
we met a little bit
subscribe.
Before.
Yeah. I was still teaching back then at professional skills to ICT students, which was also very interesting and fun. I'm not a teacher. I am much more of a coach, trainer, creator.
Yeah.
And then I met you, and then I decided before that, because it was such a deep understanding, like, I am an entrepreneur. I have all these ideas. Let's do something with it. So I threw away my shoes and walked bare feet, because I had no idea what I would actually, like, how to set up a business.
And then you met this crazy Israeli guy.
And then I met you. And you were you were running things already. And I was very inspired by that. I remember you telling me, like, you just have to pick an idea and you have to do it. You telling me, even though another idea every week, I would come with a new idea, I remember.
I was like, okay, another one.
Yeah.
We're gonna go to Africa and do like with jewelry. We're gonna go to India. I was just like, oh my god, just pick
That's true.
one. Just pick one. And I was, because of course I'm also tunnel visioned. It was just music. That's
Yeah.
it, you know.
Yeah.
And on all of its facets, but it was still just entertainment and music. And then you came with like still finding yourself, you know. And yeah, it was just it wasn't a clash, but it was a let's say encounter of, let's say, two different like phases of entrepreneurship, you
Yeah,
know.
totally.
'Cause of,
And what you say, like you had by then a very specific focus, and I'm much more, yeah, I have a lot of gifts and talents. I mean, I believe everyone has a lot of gifts, that's first of all, but I couldn't really say one thing that I would do. I wanted to develop a lot of things, so I started in the community with connecting with people there and seeing like, okay, what is actually, because I started living in the Bijlmer in Amsterdam Southeast, and I was like, I want to be able to build community locally, because I want my kids to have a community to belong to. We both didn't have family there. So to build a community would be for me like basically building my local family. And that brought me in contact with a lot of inspiring people.
helped us with a lot of gemeente stuff also, I have to say.
Yes,
Yeah.
I got into the subsidy world because I had ideas and I was like, okay, how am I going to fund this? You know, and then I learned to all these ways that you can get money, which was very beneficial. And working together with other foundations, I started a foundation with others, and yeah. Now we're going to start a foundation.
Yes. And I think it's interesting that we just spoke about this transformational leadership, because naturally that's what we want, all of us. We want to have this type of leadership. Like, I don't want to have laissez-faire and directive. That's horrible. You know, that's just absolutely horrible. But the transformational
It doesn't work anymore also.
Well, it works for certain organizations, and I still see it running. And
but to build a healthy organization, let's say it like that.
Exactly.
And healthy cultures, healthy society, you need this kind of leadership.
Absolutely. Also, I mean, people are sensitive beings, you know, and to see them as just a means to an end is just absolutely horrible. It's just absolutely, I mean, and I think that also comes, at least from my experience of working with like specific types of leaders, let's say, most of them are just really ignorant about what it means to do something. You know, they come from a very specific background, and they can appreciate what it means to do a specific type of work, and they just think it's magic, you know? Like, writing an arrangement for an orchestra costs a lot of time. Writing a subsidy plan costs a lot of time. But then all of a sudden it's like, oh, but you're doing it, so like you can just do it, right? And not understanding also the qualities or the differences between people, you know? Realizing like, person A is very different than person B. If you combine their talents, you're going to get like a synergy of power. But if you're trying to actually put them in the same place, you're going to create just like dichotomy, antagonism, all that stuff, you know. It's but that, again, it comes from ignorance and just pure stupidity of people.
Yeah, and it's the incapacity, I feel to, again, like a lot of people, they never really ask themselves, like, what is it truly, like, who am I, and what is it truly that I want? And I feel a lot of people are operating from these projections from the past that have been projected upon them, like, oh yeah, we are dentists, so you know, you can take our business. And I feel like a lot of people have been programmed that way, also with safety, like the fact that I did my master's and I have my paper, that people would tell me that, but then you can do anything, you know. It's like, it's a very conditioned way of thinking, a very
Especially in the market nowadays, like
No,
a
it's
degree is worth absolutely nothing.
well, I think it's very personal. We talked about this many times. It's what you get out of it and how you use it for your own benefit. But it should never be something that you're doing because then you're being seen, or then you feel validated, or then it should. It's the same
Absolutely.
as medicine in that sense. The moment you use it, in that sense, a study is also a way, something to get somewhere. I see, and you can study anything, anything. But I would say choose something that sparks your curiosity,
Yeah.
and that's what I got out of that. And now I'm just doing whatever I like
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
whoever I like, and that's for me true freedom. To be able to and to understand. It took me time to understand, like, okay, now I have this idea, but how can I manifest that? And then coming across people that have great ideas, and then helping them to manifest that idea and learning from that. And yeah, it's been quite of a journey.
What would be the advice you would give yourself from 10 years ago with all the knowledge and experience that you have, being 27, almost 28?
To keep creating. I feel just I think would be give less of a shit of what people would say when you're done with studying. And yeah, because I feel I was still being influenced by, like,
The validation of the outside.
yeah, not that, even like the safety and the stability that you would need in order to move forward in life. And I feel a lot of the stability is been put on physical stuff, like a job, like you have to have money. But I realized pretty quickly that, the stability, you need to find that stability in yourself. And then after that, yeah, it's much more easier to make money, to create what you want. And a lot of people are still thinking, if I have that car, or if I have that house, if I, then I'll be. But yeah, that for me, it's an illusion.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I lost my brother due to that, if I think about it.
Yeah,
I mean, he had, the whole story. I mean, he got all the things he wanted. He still felt empty.
yeah,
It wasn't enough. So it's really, it's really the journey within, to understand really in your core what it is that you want to do, and what it is that drives you, and let's say fosters this curiosity instead of the expectations of others. You can't live in other people's expectations. You just can't. It's horrible. If I had to live in other people's expectations, I would be really much wealthier right now, but really, really, like, desperate and suffering. I know that. I'm the planned child in that sense. That
yeah,
I was meant to be the heir of the empire, and I never wanted any of that ever. And now when I spend these days with the husband of my brother, rest his soul, they couldn't understand why I took a different path in life. They couldn't understand that. And then when I tell them the stories of what happened with the music, it would sound maybe weird what I'm saying, but I was lucky in that sense, because the experiences that I had with music were so overwhelming from such a young age that it was obvious for me that this is what I have to do, and I couldn't give a shit about any expectations from the outside about me. Like, as an 11-year-old kid, to experience music that is just like, I went literally into a trance, into a physical experience of hearing music, and I almost an outer body experience. There's no amount of money in the world you can offer a kid, or like status, that kid would think, yeah, if I do this, I will be. No, it's a
It's your
physical.
It's also your nature.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it's so connected to what you come to be of service, for the people, what you come here to do. feel like that's everyone's mission, is to find out your own mission.
Yeah.
It would make this world so much more of a beautiful place if everyone would allow themselves to find to allow themselves to ask themselves questions, just yourself, ask yourself questions and see what comes up, without having an opinion about it. Or
that's why solitude is so important to embrace. Just my opinion, of course, everybody's different, but to be able to embrace solitude, to embrace being by yourself in silence also. That's where, through silence, I discovered a lot of things about myself. Through noise, it's just I can't think at some point. I just it's too much.
Yeah, nature has also been a very big part for me in that.
That's why we live where we live.
Yeah, no, but for real.
Yeah.
I remember I lived in IJmuiden and I went back to Rivierenbuurt. I got paranoia the first day because I heard the toilet there and I heard the fight over there. And I was like, oh my God, this is so crazy. And I was happy that I met you already. And I had to bike to the Belmer and I was like, oh, it's so green here. And I can't believe how beautiful it is here. So it was, that was so nice. Yeah. What else?
I think we're good, right? How long are we? 1 hour. I felt it. Babe, I love you, babe.
I love you too.
Really. Thank you so much for doing this. And it's like it's funny with this podcast. I mean, these are things we never spoke about. We're together for 8 years and we never spoke about it. And it's such a nice little moment also in our relationship and also for the podcast.
Yeah, special.
Yeah.
I felt very free talking about myself.
Rape.
Yes, exactly. Well, this is maybe something nice to tell also, because out of that, that my belief, like I'm a creator, I made this in my head, because we try to understand experiences that we have. We make conclusions out of that. We all create that ourselves.
Yeah.
I believe that we can heal ourselves also. We can make ourselves again. And I developed a technique. I connected, it is an NLP technique, a neuro-linguistic programming technique that I combined with visual meditation, and art that helps to get the trauma that is in the body out. Maybe that's also because I give workshops with that, people that don't want to talk about stuff.
No, we didn't talk about creation constellation.
We talked
about so many things. Yeah,
we can still talk about it.
Yeah, of course. Do you want to tell me about creation constellation?
Yeah, well, this with what I just said with the painting, I when I was pregnant with Aaron, I started bleeding, right? And then I realized, because I told 10 years after I healed that trauma in my body, during my pregnancy, I realized it was still in my body because I had these bleedings.
Yeah.
And that's where an NLP technique that I learned from a master got to me. I remember I laid in Portugal, I laid on the bed, I was super frustrated because the bleeding wouldn't stop. And then I did that technique. I was guided. I kind of guided myself. I don't know how that went, but...
we were really stressed about it, I remember.
Yeah.
When you're bleeding, and
And then I used the technique because I really I was just asking for it. I was praying, please help me, give me something, And then I got that technique again. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Then I did that with my own body. And I spoke to Tony, our good friend, and he told me, because it's a different way of looking at pain. And I believe that you don't have to talk about everything to heal. I think the talking should be less, should be more physical work and work with the body.
More feeling.
Feeling, but also using the senses, because when we have a traumatic experience, the memory of the trauma is being stored in the body. And if it's not been expressed in any way possible, then it can manifest in disease. So this technique helps to look at the memory in a very objective way. And we store these memories with our senses because information comes in senses. So we use the senses basically again to get the memory out. And that's also what the transformational leadership comes in, is that things can transform in your body. The body has such a natural intelligence. If you learn to work with that, healing goes so much more faster.
The most advanced machine out there.
It's amazing. You know, people that tell me like, I'm not creative. I'm always like, you have no idea. Your cells are you're creating new cells right as you speak it. So stop telling yourself that you're not creative, because you're super creative. And with that technique, the bleeding stopped within a week. Tony told me, paint it, because
so he basically catalyzed the
he told me,
your pain.
yeah, he told me. And then you remember, I made that painting of my womb, because
we have it at home. Yeah,
what I basically saw was needles being, when I was looking at it, it was like needles, and then I transformed the needles into pearls, and Aaron was in my belly, and then I think I decorated it with butt stuff. How do you say that in English? With, like this really soft baby material that like baby clothes are made of. I like visualized that was on the corner.
Like silk, you mean? Or
no, it's not silk.
cotton?
It's like a cotton, really, really soft cotton, I think. Visualized that. And then I painted that, because Tony was said, paint it, and painted with gold, because gold has a certain frequency that allows the memory also to, it's connecting higher frequencies to lower frequencies allows the lower frequency to calibrate with the higher, so it dissolves basically. And then within a week, the blood it stopped.
I remember that, yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I have something in my hands here. I should do something with it. And I wrote a subsidy plan for that. And that I've been doing for the last 2 years.
That's Paint Your Pain, right?
Yeah, and then I realized like, Paint Your Pain. A lot of people are afraid of pain, so I should name Paint Your Pain differently. So this year it was called Paint Your Power. Paint Your Gain, Paint Your Pain. Implementing imagination. Your imagination is super powerful to use that in your healing journey also. And then creation constellations came actually, because I already believed like this whole talking about trauma is interesting, but I realized what I did when I was 21. When you talk about trauma and you say je geeft het een plekje in Dutch, you
give it a place.
You give it a place. You literally tell your subconscious to give it a place, but you give it a place in the body again. So if it's not really expressed outside, also with movement, that's where art comes in for me. You give sound, you use other you use the senses to get it out. It stays in the body.
Absolutely.
So that's why working with paint, drawing, writing stories also, not that the mental, but more story like, and then sound. It's amazing. That to implement that in the healing process has been very interesting. So I already believed like, okay, there must be an easier way to, to heal people. And I met Marie-José Rietdijk via an Instagram post, because she was sending out, not a post, it was a advertise to do
like
a
a
creation
climber,
constellation. Yeah, and I was like, oh, this is interesting, because I knew family constellation and organizational constellation. I never experienced it, but I was like, this sounds like something that I would do. And then I got into this way of systemic work. And it's a very innovative way of systemic work, where you work with the quantum field of creation. You work with the 7 hermetic laws of the universe. So it's the laws of nature, like everything is energy. Everything is male and female in essence.
Whoa. We're going to get canceled here, yeah? It's not non-binary also.
No, like
I'm kidding. It's a stupid political joke.
Based on these laws, like that story is not valid because in essence, everything is.
This story isn't valid. It's nonsense.
Okay,
Sorry.
well, now it's been debunked. Then.
Yeah, come on, please.
So we, these laws are like being used to work with. And what I really liked, and this is something that I got in my master's, was this dog trainer talking about leadership. It's like, if it's a dog or a baby, it doesn't matter. Everything you give attention grows. So if you want negative things to grow, you just have to put energy to it. So that's why it's so interesting and functional to focus your energy on gratitude, on positive things. That's why I want to end my days like that also.
Yeah, I was always in bed. I'm like, the war in Gaza.
Yeah.
She's
did
like,
he is shot yesterday?
Yeah, Charlie Kirk was dead, like shot dead. She's like, can we just keep it positive before we go to bed?
Yeah.
Thank God I have you, babe. Otherwise, I'll just be a psycho.
Well, you also have your tools, your story.
Yes, of course.
Which maybe one day we can also talk about.
What, in the podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, we're going to get to that. My love, thank you for doing it. I love you. And anything else you want to talk about?
I can talk for hours. Well, maybe if people are interested in working with me, I'm organizing, because I was trained now in constellation work. So I can guide that now also. It's a very light way of moving forward without having to go in the trauma anymore, in the pain.
Yeah.
That's, But
Awesome.
still you move forward. So people can work with me in these different ways. Are very welcome.
We're going to put all the links, of course, in the description of this episode. Again, I'm biased, Everybody, thank you so much for joining us this podcast. I had the best time. I mean, of course, I have a lot of good times in other podcasts also, but I'm biased here, like I said. Please join us. Be a part of this community that we're building. Like and subscribe. Do all the things, of course. We have amazing guests that are coming. We have so much content for you. And we will see you at the constellation.